Missile Armageddon is descending upon Russia. Ukraine is shocking the world with new weaponry. Firepoint is revealing something the world has never seen before. Exclusive footage from the Ukrainian defense industry. There is panic in the Kremlin. Putin is in shock. Even the boldest forecasts could not have predicted such a blow. We are the only ones who know the fiery details. Watch.
A Ukrainian defense technology company is changing the war. For the first time, Firepoint has showcased exclusive footage of drone and missile production. Over the past year, the company has achieved impressive results both in manufacturing and in the effectiveness of its products. These drones are 3 times cheaper than their competitors on the market, drones used for medium-range strikes. According to published statistics, Firepoint's combat systems are leading in the use of heavy combat drones. More than half of all uses of long-range drones with a warhead over 30 kilograms are Firepoint systems. Firepoint drones have distinguished themselves by striking critical enemy targets, including ammunition depots and arsenals in Toropets and Tikhoretsk. Several airfields, Taganrog, Marinovka, Engels 2, Shaikovka, airfield bases, S-400 air defense system positions, as well as, for example, in Solntsevka, Donetsk region, the command post of the 90th Tank Division of the Russian Federation. From time to time, there are also some truly exclusive catches like military helicopters. The activities of the Ukrainian company Firepoint are aimed at providing Ukraine with the capability to deliver just retaliatory strikes against the territory of Russia. Back when all of this started, when people said we were fighting with one hand tied behind our back, I tend to agree with your view that this is the right interpretation of what was happening at the time. But now we have our own production, and it is precisely our domestic manufacturing that has given us the ability to use our forces and resources in the way we ourselves see fit. The Kremlin only understands the language of force. The best argument in any negotiations with Moscow is a powerful Ukrainian army and military-industrial complex. In particular, the domestic production of long-range drones and missiles, with which Ukraine can regularly strike targets in Russia located thousands of kilometers or more from the front line.
In order to somehow bring this war to a stalemate, to shift it, we need to learn not only to repel enemy attacks on the front line, but also to suppress their logistics and aviation. And of course, I'm not even mentioning the necessity of striking Russia's military-industrial enterprises and energy system.
For dessert, Ukrainian engineers have prepared the Flamingo cruise missile for the Russian occupiers. This Ukrainian pink bird not only boasts an impressive range of 3,000 kilometers, but also a warhead weighing over 1,000 kilograms.
Usually the warhead of a modern cruise missile is about 450, at most 500 kilograms. As a rule, almost all missiles have a 450 kilogram warhead. What does a 1-ton warhead provide? When it hits a target, for example, an industrial facility, 2 such missiles can completely disable it for at least a year. That is, there will be a single crater about 20 meters in diameter.
Russian terrorists who shell Ukrainian cities must realize a mirrored response is coming. It will definitely happen.
Shock, Putin is preparing a new offensive. NATO countries are on the brink of war with Russia. Europe is on high alert. Military Schengen, ultra-fast troop deployment, restructuring of industrial complexes. The whole world is learning from Ukraine to counter Putin's barbaric plans, the Kremlin's hellish plans, and the West's tough preparations. The hottest details are in our report.
The danger from the Kremlin is getting closer. The European Union is preparing to confront Putin. NATO countries are concentrating weapons and troops on the borders of Russia and Belarus. At the same time, members of the European Parliament are seriously working on a military Schengen.
We must show Putin that Europe is no longer associated with impotence and democracy with weakness.
The Schengen is being prepared in close cooperation with the North Atlantic Alliance. Brussels is taking decisive steps. Among them is the Defense Industry Modernization Plan. The European Commission has announced the timeline and presented a new package of military mobility measures. This will enable the European army to move quickly across EU territory without facing excessive bureaucracy, especially in the event of a possible threat from Russia. In
defense industry, we will be strong if we are industrially independent, autonomous, and much less fragmented.
Ukraine acts as an ally. The country will gain access to defense logistics.
We want to expand military mobility corridors in Ukraine. This would serve as a security guarantee, meaning we could provide support more quickly if needed.
First of all, it is necessary to modernize the infrastructure, digitize procedures, and increase funding. One of the key challenges for EU countries remains ensuring the rapid transportation of troops. At present, the threat to the Baltics persists. And in the event of a sudden escalation, for example, the French army would need to cover about 1,500 kilometers to come to the aid of its allies. Although light units are able to move relatively quickly, heavy equipment requires significantly more time and preparation.
Currently, European bridges and railways are not suited for the rapid movement of tanks, soldiers, and military cargo. If tanks are transported from the west to the eastern flank, they may get stuck in tunnels, tangled in complex bureaucracy, and bridges may not withstand the passage of these vehicles.
Drawing on the experience of the Russian Federation's war with Ukraine, the European Union has devoted significant attention to modernizing critical infrastructure. Transport routes will be brought up to standard. They will be dual-purpose, so they can serve both civilian and military needs at the same time. The military Schengen plays a special role in strengthening the defense of the Eastern Alliance, especially for the Baltic states and Poland.
Everything depends on our position. Will we be able to deter the enemy, or will we encourage them to act aggressively?
But not everyone sees the danger coming from Russia, or they simply try to turn a blind eye to reality, maintaining close ties with the Kremlin dictator Putin.
We're talking about an armament program that will require us to spend every last penny. And this concerns all of Europe. From the statements of several influential leaders, it's quite clear they want to enter the war.
Germany is doing everything it can to help Ukraine, making every effort to equip the Ukrainian armed forces with long-range missile systems, as well as to organize joint production on our territory.
For several months now, we have been working intensively with the Ukrainian government on the implementation of long-range weapons projects. The Ukrainian army is being equipped with such systems. We have agreed not to discuss the details publicly, as we believe that the Russian side should not be informed about the extent of our military support. All I can say is what we are doing. We are doing everything possible to equip the Ukrainian army with weapon systems of the required range. And the number of such systems will increase in the coming weeks and months, if necessary, up to and including the production of such weapons in Ukraine itself.
The European Union's military budget is planned to be increased to more than 17 billion euros. In total, at least 100 billion euros are needed to modernize bridges and tunnels and to fully launch 4 corridors for military needs in the European Union. Based on Ukraine's experience, Putin's words cannot be trusted.
There is no need to make things up and form opinions about Russia based on these inventions. There is no need to form an image of Russia as the enemy. They made up this idea that Russia wants to attack NATO. Are you completely out of your mind or what? You're as dumb as this table, honestly. Who came up with this? It's nonsense, you understand? It's utter nonsense.
While the dictator is feeding journalists lies, members of the European Parliament are calling for regular joint exercises and loading tests. They want the European Union to follow NATO's example so that rapid reaction forces can respond quickly to aggression. From the Kremlin.
That's all for now. For more breaking news from the front, tune in to our next broadcast.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
An epic twist? New Zealand and Australia shocked the world. They are funding weapons for Ukraine. For the first time in history, countries outside of NATO are spending millions to purchase lethal weapons from the US as part of the Pearl Initiative. Generous allies are opening the doors to new combat capabilities for Ukrainian defenders. Ukraine is becoming stronger than ever. The enemy is in panic. Details of this unprecedented support are coming up next.
NATO has confirmed its readiness to increase aid to Kyiv. If we don't do this now, it will cost us much more in the future. Partners will supply Ukraine with weapons under the Pearl program, estimated at around $1 billion.
About $1 billion in additional support has been confirmed by our allies to support our army through the Pearl program. 5 more countries have announced this as well. But for me, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, a country at war, it was truly important to feel this unity and determination right now.
In addition to the commitment from allied countries to provide funding, one of the important elements of the meeting was the discussion of sanctions and the need to synchronize sanction packages.
At the moment, we are on track. We need about 4 billion by this time of year, starting from August, 1 billion per month. And right now we have 4 billion, so we still have work to do in December. I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we will also cover December.
At the beginning of August, the US and NATO launched a new mechanism to support Ukraine through the Priorities Ukraine Requirements Initiative, abbreviated as PEARL. NATO countries, with the exception of the US, make voluntary financial contributions for the supply of American weapons and technology to Ukraine.
PEARL is an initiative under which European countries purchase American weapons and transfer them to Ukraine through NATO in order to put an end to this war. If we learned anything during President Trump's term, it's the active use of force to achieve peace. Peace is achieved through strength, not through harsh statements or threatening gestures. It is achieved through strength when you have real capabilities that are respected by your adversaries.
PEARL makes it possible to coordinate contributions, speed up procurement, and deliver to the front lines more quickly what cannot be replaced by European equivalents. The Netherlands was the first to join the initiative in the fall, allocating 500 million euros for the purchase of Patriot systems and other air defense equipment. Denmark, Norway and Sweden funded ammunition for HIMARS and other critical supplies. Germany and Canada joined them. Belgium, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Iceland and Luxembourg have announced their readiness to join the fifth funding package. Australia and New Zealand are expanding their support. The countries will provide PEARL military aid packages worth $63 million and $8.7 million.
Now even New Zealand and Australia, which are not NATO members but are close partners of the alliance through the Indo-Pacific region, have also made commitments. This is really great news, and it gives us a steady flow of weapons to Ukraine from the necessary US stockpiles.
While allies are joining in to help Ukraine, Italy has decided to withdraw from the PEARL program.
It would be premature to participate in NATO's program to purchase American weapons for Ukraine in light of the ongoing peace negotiations. If we reach an agreement and the fighting stops, weapons will no longer be needed. Instead, other things will be needed, such as security guarantees.
This statement was the first open sign of a change in course by Giorgia Meloni's government. Hungary is also against participating in weapons procurement. At the same time, the Netherlands will provide 500 million euros, Norway 250, and Canada 200. Poland is allocating $100 million for Patriot missiles.
The fate of Europe is at stake. We all want this war to end and we welcome peace efforts. But it is extremely important that the result is a just and lasting peace for Ukraine.
Germany has not stayed on the sidelines either. All this money will be spent on arms for Ukraine.
The federal government is very proud that, together with our friends in Poland and Norway, we can form another large package that is necessary to support Ukraine. $500 million is a significant amount, of which Germany is providing 200 million.
Let us recall that the first two military aid packages to Ukraine under the PEARL initiative included missiles for the Patriot air defense system and the HIMARS multiple launch rocket system, which helped our defenders on the battlefield and protected Ukrainian cities from Russian missiles. Ukraine has requested an additional 1 billion euros for the winter period to compensate for the reduction in supplies from the United States in previous months. PEARL remains one of the key mechanisms for assisting Ukraine, but its future directly depends on the political decisions of the allies and the progress of ceasefire negotiations.